Hello and welcome. So today I just wanted to talk about once again the Switch. I know this is kind of maybe a bit repetitive, but I just had this idea for this short series of basically mini series of ham says where I kind of discuss various thoughts I have on the console. And today I want to talk about what intrigues me about the console, what I think makes this console so new and innovative, outside of stuff like HD Rumble, which I think is something that will probably make its way into almost every video game controller in the future, just because I don't see if there's many games that can't benefit from something like this. So yeah, but HD Rumble is cool. The thing that makes the Switch really cool though is its reconfigurability. We have never had a console that has been this versatile before. Not only is it a handheld and a home console, but it really kind of is trying to merge almost all facets of video game design and play styles. So what I mean by this is the fact that the Joy-Cons, they come off. Alright, and you know, that seems like an obvious thing at first, until you see what they've done with it, with the little intricacies. So, you can obviously play it in handheld mode, you can play it in console mode, but when you play it in console mode, you can use the two Joy-Cons kind of like in a Wiimote nunchuck style configuration. You can use them in the configuration of a traditional controller when you put them into the Joy-Con grip. Of course, you can use the Pro controller, but I think it's actually really cool that even without the Pro controller you kind of have access to a very traditional style controller, even if it's maybe not quite as, comfortable as the Pro controller. But obviously compromise comes with this kind of, customizability and whatever. So I think this is very interesting because it makes sure that everyone has essentially a Wiimote and nunchuck, so everyone can play motion games. And for the people who don't like motion gaming, I know a lot of people were burnt on the Wii, and they're kind of very shy to try out games. I think, some people are maybe a bit too shy in that respect, and should really, try maybe some new motion control games, because they are kind of improving the technology, and I really would like to see them maybe take it more in even kind of a Metroid Prime 3 direction. And while that game wasn't necessarily, the best, I know, in terms of how you had all this planet hopping and whatever, how you interacted with panels and scanning things and shooting, it was all very kinetic and it really was quite immersive. And it was something that nobody had really done. And that's the kind of experience that if you didn't have, say, a motion control enabled console such as the Wii, you wouldn't have been able to provide, because you can make motion control games, but you can't, justify that people, or you can't count on the fact that people will buy these peripherals. I remember people saying this about the PS4 when it came out. They said it's great. You have the option to play, with motion controls using the PlayStation Move and the PlayStation Camera, and you have the option to use the Vita for second screen games. But nothing ever came of that, because they were all separate, quite expensive add-ons. What the Switch does is it very ingeniously and kind of almost deceptively kind of just marries them all together, so that, because Nintendo knows, alright, that people will not buy Wiimotes if it's just like, oh, there's spare motion control controllers that you can buy if you want that kind of thing. People aren't gonna buy it. This way, everyone has it, whether they like it or not. So it can almost allow people to, if they do see something that actually is quite an engaging motion control game, and they do, almost changes their opinion, like they play it at a friend's house or whatever, suddenly they have the motion control controllers. They don't have to go out and buy a separate Wiimote like they did on the Wii U if they didn't maybe own a Wii before it. And that's very interesting, because it means that you suddenly, as a developer, got the option to include all these different types of play styles because of all the different types of controllers that you can count that the player is definitely going to have. So you can make one that a game that scales easily to the PS4 and Xbox One and has very traditional controls, or you could make a game that's like, say, a first-person shooter that controls with the Joy-Cons, and it's completely out of left field. And that is very ingenious. What's also great about it is it means that the Switch is modular. And that modular aspect basically gives it an upgradable trait. I don't really know how to put that in a better way, sorry. But basically what it means is, you know, you have stuff like the Joy-Con charging grip or whatever. You can, you know, switch out for the standard grip that comes in the console proper. You have stuff like the fact that the dock is separate to the tablet, so you could replace the dock, presumably. You can also replace the tablet, theoretically. This leads to a very interesting situation when we're in this age of PS4 Pro and Xbox One Scorpio and indeed the new 3DS, because what you can have is Nintendo could make maybe slightly differently shaped Joy-Cons, or they could make upgraded Joy-Cons with speakers in them, or, you know, for like that kind of HT sound you got with the Wii U, and it's even in the PS4, there's a little microphone in it, or speaker. Speaking of which, you could also put a microphone in a pair of replaceable Joy-Cons. You could put in a lot of things. You could also, say, if they want to add in 4K support down the line, they don't necessarily have to upgrade the tablet. What they can do is they can sell you a dock which just has a little bit of extra GPU power, kind of supplementary power, which they do have patents for, Nintendo, and there have been rumors to suggest that they are maybe trying to create a dock or some sort of box that will connect to your Switch and will upgrade it. And also you can even replace the tablet and still use it with your old Joy-Cons and old dock. So this creates quite an interesting paradox also. You know, they can deceptively kind of sneak you into buying a Switch Pro over the course of maybe a couple of years. Like maybe the first year they introduce a dock with better, you know, 4K support. Maybe it has better, newer standards of USB or newer standards of Wi-Fi or whatever. Or maybe it has built-in Ethernet, because I don't know if the Switch dock currently even has that. So that's very interesting. Then the next year, they could maybe come out with a set of revised Joy-Cons. And then the next year, they could come out with just a revised Switch tablet, and maybe you can just buy the tablet if you already have the console, and it'll work with all your existing stuff. And that's why the Switch is a very forward-thinking piece of hardware, because it means that it's, you know, you'd never have to just drop down another like 400 quid like you would have to for a PS4 Pro. What you can do is you can keep all your old stuff, and you can kind of gradually replace it as you can afford it. And it also means that over time you'll get to a point where the majority of Switch users, and they'll probably be able to track this, will be using maybe the components from the newer Switch machines, and they can start making games that, you know, require those specific parts. I don't think they should do it soon. I think they should at least leave it 2 or 3 years, perhaps even, just because you don't want to split your fan base that quickly. And that is one of the concerns I have about it, is it could very much split the fan base, and Nintendo's kind of one of the last holdouts of having consoles that are evenly matched. But then again, I suppose I'm full of rubbish when I say that, because, you know, the new 3DS and the normal 3DS, if you're playing online in Smash Brothers, the lag in the new 3DS is going to be significantly better. Like, it's not going to, you're going to be at an advantage. You won't have as much technical problems, or your games will run a slight bit better. And so that is kind of a worry, because it's one thing that consoles have always done very well, but I suppose we're in a new age where people don't really care about that as much anymore, and they just want to care about having something that feels new and technologically advanced. But what the Switch does is it allows you to have that without having to drop a huge amount of cash. They can sneakily, you know, change your Switch into a Switch Pro over the course of a number of years. So that obviously begs the question, will the Switch be Nintendo's last console? Will it just, you know, constantly iterate? I think that depends on how successful it is right out of the gate, how successful the standard Switch is. But what do you guys think? Please tell me in the comments below. Do you think I'm crazy? Do you think this is interesting? Where do you think they're going to take it? What direction do you think they're going with this? Please like the video if you found this interesting, and please subscribe if you have not already.